So there have been a lot of names linked to the Pistons, and I'll put the first one on the screen because I see a lot of people talking about it, and it's CJ McCollum. So this is actually a tweet from Jake Weinbach saying that the Pistons could be a potential suitor for CJ McCollum. Detroit would value McCollum's scoring prowess and veteran leadership. If there's genuine interest, the Pistons could build an offer around Tim Hardaway Jr.'s $16.1 million expiring contract and a second-round draft pick for compensation. So CJ's not like that superstar like we were talking about. He's an all-star. I would say he's like a B minus player. Is that kind of like the realm of like where you think they could possibly go of, acquiring a guy like a CJ McCollum?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, especially with where the Pelicans are, and think about Trajan's relationship with them. I think, yeah, I think CJ would be great. The only thing is like, so coming into the year, I was very open to bringing Ivy off the bench, not in the way Monty did it, but in a way where he's playing 30 plus minutes a night. It's just really to get that stagger, which JB has done a great job with, I think, all year. And, obviously, unfortunate JI had the injury. But so my only concern with getting someone like McCollum is who comes off the bench next year, Assuming, all reports are JI is going to make full recovery. Like it was, given what we saw, like it was a pretty lucky, diagnosis. I like CJ a lot. I mean, I'm team get Cade a secondary scorer and ball handler for sure. But my question comes to what happens next season. I think CJ has I think next season he's an expiring deal. But yeah, I don't know. I like it, but it's just, what do you do? Like, is CJ willing to come off the bench next year? Sort of like, is he willing to take that 6-man role? I don't know that he should be. I don't know that he would be. That's my concern with a move like that.
Yeah, I kind of have the same opinions with like, what do you do with Ivy?
Yeah.
But in the same breath, like I've seen CJ play small forward, and there could be a world where you get crazy and play 3 guards, and just
with
have
like
three.
a SAR at the 4.
Yeah, like you could just
it gets
like,
weird.
Yeah, you can
It
get
could
like
work. It could work for sure.
You could get really weird there. I like CJ as a player. I think some people kind of sleep on him. I mean, if you kind of look, he's had some pretty good games with the Pelicans, and obviously the Pelicans this year, injuries, players showing up late to a flight, which is, I guess that's been a thing for a while now.
Yeah.
I think if you can buy low, like Jake outlined, THJ's expiring in a second. I mean, like,
Right.
I think for that's dirt cheap. That's like buying low on CJ, because like if he comes here and he's a 20 point per game scorer, like he's been like throughout his career, like even like when he was in Portland, that takes pressure off Cade.
Yeah.
You wouldn't feel as nervous watching games when Cade does go to the bench, because maybe you leave CJ out there for a couple of more minutes, and
I'm sure. Yeah.
Maybe have Marcus Sasser play off ball a little bit more than being on ball and trying to set up the offense. I think there's a lot of positives and negatives with CJ. I think the only negative that we outlined was what happens to Ivy.
Right.
Do you bring him off the bench? Does Ivy want to come off the bench? What does Trajan and this front office think of him? Is he going to get a contract extension? There's so many questions with Jaden Ivey. Not to say that I wouldn't love CJ. I think he would be such an upgrade for this team to have another 20 point per game scorer. And he's been there, done that, played with Damian Lillard. He's playing with DeJounte Murray right now. So he's played with some very talented players. And I think Cade would love playing with a player of his caliber. But I think I just have way too many questions of like how it would fit with Jaden Ivey long term if he does when he does come back next season.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, because I think Jaden Ivey has definitely earned that trust and that, that starting spot long term. I mean, he's taken some real, like he was having a fantastic season, which is why it sucks even more. So yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think they should make a move if the long term plan is like, okay, he replaces Jaden Ivey right now. and maybe next year, is still the starter, Ivy off the bench or vice versa. I think that's something you should probably think about before making a move like that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
but for
it's
that price, it's like you might just deal with that conversation, over the summer if all it takes realistically is, THJ and a second or two.
yeah, I mean, like that's the price, and it's that low. Like at the February deadline, I feel like a lot of people, not just the Pistons, like
Yeah,
I could see a lot of contenders like offering and expiring in a second to get a player of that caliber.
for sure.
Um,
It's just cap space,
it,
that's why, we got to use that because that is borderline our biggest asset right at this second.
yeah, I mean, you're the only team right now in the NBA that has any cap space and an open roster spot.
Right.
Um, I know we had a question here from Ryan Bosman, which I think he has such a great point. He says, "Are you willing to risk Cade not having a ball handler help and possibly getting injured from overusage?" Yes,
For sure.
absolutely. See, season's over if Cade gets injured. I'm just saying that now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Jaden Ivey did a pretty good job of that, especially when JB staggered them. And it gave time, Cade some more time off ball. But yeah, it's something that they need to address, but that could be in the form of just a solid backup point guard. I don't think you'd necessarily need to go get him another, a two guard who can handle. But yeah, no, it's definitely something that's concerned. I'd like to for sure right now, or even a 3 or 4 who can do the same thing. But yeah, it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think when you look at it, like Cade's usage is just like it's crazy. Like last night's game, right? Like we were up 13 in the first quarter, and Cade goes to the bench, and like the second unit could not score to save their lives, and then we're tied,
Yep.
like
Yep.
at 32-32 in the first, and you're like, wow, yeah, we need help.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think it's a good comment from Ryan to bring up because yeah, like
Yep.
I'm sure the front office sees what we see. We see when Cade comes back in, the offense is flowing. Like even in the Raptors game closing out, like Cade made 3 straight plays, 2 assists to Stu, and then made a 3, and then it was like a 7-point swing right there.
Right.
So I mean, like his impact is definitely something that I think we all recognize and realize, and I'm sure the front office does too. Because like if
Yeah.
we're coming up here and having conversations about like Cade being overused, I'm sure the front office sees the same damn thing.
Yeah, I mean they understand the financial commitment they just made to him too, and like they understand who he is to this team. So I think it's probably on their mind. It's
Yeah.
just like we were saying earlier, just sort of a matter of just like waiting for the right deal over the next month.